has withstood decades of scrutiny without being conclusively debunked or validated. Now, that is perhaps the most telling statement in this result. Has withstood decades of scrutiny without being conclusively debunked or validated. Having now seen the Patterson-Gimlin footage, and if you're anywhere close to being interested in cryptozoology and cryptids, then you've seen the Patterson-Gimlin footage. My question now becomes, what are the origins of the Patterson-Gimlin footage? So let's see what comes up. As I want to do a little bit of a deep dive into the genesis of this film. All right, it originates in 1967, was shot in Northern California, and is the most famous piece of alleged visual evidence for Bigfoot, Sasquatch. Here are the origins, step by step, with historical context. Good, I want some historical context here. It's kind of the whole point of this. Roger Patterson, an amateur filmmaker and Bigfoot enthusiast. Patterson friend, Bob Gimlin, Patterson's friend and filming companion. Okay, so right away, you know, these are guys that were out looking for Bigfoot, and I think that carries a lot of that's a significant point that we should carry forward. Both men were riding horses along Bluff Creek, a remote area in the Six Rivers National Forest, Northern California. This was October 20th, 1967, so in the fall. Bluff Creek, Del Norte County, California. We're going to take a look at a map and find out where that is. The area had already had a history of alleged Bigfoot sightings and large unexplained footprints dating back to the late 1950s. It was filmed with a Kodak K100 16 millimeter camera. Yeah, so not obviously, as we've seen, not known for its definition, and of course being that it's from 1967. That's, you know, there's going to be some degradation over time, and it's not going to be the most well-defined film. Kodachrome 2 daylight or color reversal film. I don't exactly know what that means. So it's less than a minute with about 20 seconds showing the figure clearly. Patterson claimed he dismounted his horse and began filming after encountering a large, upright, hair-covered figure walking across a sandbar. Now it shows a large bipedal hair-covered figure walking away from the camera. The figure briefly turns its head toward the camera, the famous look-back frame. Anatomical features such as arms swing longer than a human's, flexing thigh and calf muscles, sagittal crest-like shaped head, which has been disputed, breast-like structures, and they often say this is evidence as a female, and they're referring it to as Patty. In the immediate aftermath, Patterson and Gimlin made plaster casts of large footprints found at the site. Patterson screened the film privately and later publicly. The footage quickly drew the attention from cryptozoologists, Hollywood special effects artists, skeptics, and scientists. Early controversy and skepticism. Several factors fueled skepticism from the start. Patterson's known interest in Bigfoot and prior attempts to make a Bigfoot documentary. Yeah, okay, so right away, there's a slant here that you have to pay attention. In financial troubles Patterson was experiencing at the time, claims by some individuals later that they wore a costume for the film. However, no physical costume has ever been produced. Testimony from alleged hoax participants has been inconsistent and contradictory. Bob Gimlin has consistently maintained the footage is genuine. I do know that Patterson has passed away, but Gimlin is still around as of this recording in January of 2026. All right, so over time, this film has been studied to great degree by anatomicists, biomechanics experts, image analysts, special effects professionals, and the key points here. whether a 1967 era costume could realistically replicate the visible musculature. That's a very good point, given the fact that Patterson was in dire financial straits. Whether the gait matches known human or non-human primate locomotion, film stabilization, and frame-by-frame enhancement studies. I found one of those. We're going to take a look at it. Run through a high-definition filter. You can see if it's a costume, it's exceptionally detailed, given that these are two amateur filmmakers, amateur at best filmmakers, one of whom we know is in financial peril. No definitive proof of a hoax has been demonstrated. No definitive proof of new species has been demonstrated either. So it remains a question. And as I've said in this channel a few times already, that which cannot be scientifically proven false must remain somehow, in some way, a possibility. It became the cornerstone of modern Sasquatch lore. It is the most studied and most debated piece of cryptozoological film ever. Reference point in discussions of evidence, standards, and extraordinary claims. It remains unique in that no footage has clearly surpassed it in clarity or detail, despite evidences in camera technology. So, if we're looking at the costume itself and its the intricacies of its detail as being evidence that the creature exists, I think that in the over 5 decades since, that no footage has surpassed it in clarity and detail, given that everyone has a high definition camera in their pockets, that would, suggest that it could have been a hoax. However, one thing I would like to point out with people who, with these high definition cameras in their pockets, no one knows how to shoot or compose a shot. Very few people can actually compose a shot, and they are handheld. Even though the Patterson-Gimlin footage obviously was from a handheld device, I still think people can't shoot, and I think that is something that for this element right here needs to be taken into account too. All right, so what are we looking at here? It was shot in 1967, is intended as documentary footage. I don't know if there was ever the documentary that they set out to produce was ever completed. I mean, given that they had the most significant footage thus far, and emerged from a region already associated with Bigfoot reports. So yeah, they went looking for it. Has withstood decades of scrutiny without being conclusively debunked or validated. Now that is perhaps the most telling statement in this result. Has withstood decades of scrutiny without being conclusively debunked or validated. It is persistent ambiguity. I like that term, persistent ambiguity. Neither the hoax explanation nor the unknown animal explanation has decisively prevailed. All right, man, I'm telling you what, this is fun. I want to go deeper into Bigfoot. I think there's still a lot more here. So we're going to continue with this, but we'll probably return to the Patterson-Gimlin footage too. But until then, don't go wandering off into the forests alone.